Please see links in description below.
Hi guys, my name is Tom, and today I'm going to talk about this cool little box. If you're a filmmaker like me, maybe a photographer or a videographer, anybody who does any kind of production out on different locations, then you definitely want to find out what's inside this box. So what I got here is what you would call a solar generator, which is basically a box that provides power and provides a lot of power and gives you a lot of cool options. So whenever you're working maybe in remote locations, or maybe even if you're working in the city, but let's say you don't have access to a power outlet or things like that, then this thing is really handy. In the past, I have used just standard gas generators, fairly affordable, around $400 or $500 mark. All these new generators, like the one I have up here, are inverter generators, meaning they can provide really clean, reliable power for small electronics that are very sensitive, such as laptops, cell phones, things like that. And they're also very quiet, actually, compared to those traditional old gas generators. Now, at the end of the day, gas generators are still going to be loud, and that's when a solar generator really is, I think, a game changer, because this means that, let's say, like I said, you're filming maybe in the city, in somewhere where you don't have access to power. Well, you can bring this up, you can plug your lights, your cameras, whatever it is that you need to power, and nobody's going to hear a thing, because there's no sound basically coming out of this thing. And that's the beautiful thing about this. Not only that, but also another, I think, really major feature is that, like the name says, solar generators means you can recharge these using the sun. So if you are, let's say, somewhere in a remote location where you don't have, let's say, at the end of the day, you don't have access to power or whatever, again, you can use this, basically throughout the day, and you can be recharging it using the sun. Or let's say if you're using it at night, like I did on this last shoot that I was doing. And the next day, I was able to, again, just plug in my solar panels and recharge this thing to its full capacity. Now, there's already a lot of different solar generators on the market. You can find a ton of them on Amazon, eBay, all that stuff. There's some that I've shown in some previous videos of mine, so I'll provide some of the links to the ones that I've used and the ones I can recommend. But if you want to get the best, I think of the best, the most reliable, and the one that with the biggest capacity, I think this is the one. It's the Energy Apex. Energy is a company they've already been in the game. They've been producing, a lot of these solar panels, generators, and all that stuff. This is the latest product, which contains 1100 watt hours. So it's a lot of power. And just how much, I'm going to kind of break it down and show you guys if you're powering different lights for how long it's actually going to work. Because I've been using this for the last about 2 months, and so I have real world actually experience using this on set. Inside of this you'll find a lithium ion battery with, like I said, 1100 watt hours or 90 amp hours at 12.6 volts. That's the capacity of this lithium ion battery. So lithium ion, for those of you who don't know, it's basically all the latest, like your cell phones, laptops, even like the new electric cars like Tesla. They use those types of batteries because they're a lot more reliable. You can discharge them fully and then recharge them without damaging the batteries, like, for example, happens when you use the old lead acid batteries. So with that, you don't have those kind of problems. Plus, it's just a lot less of a size and weight to the amount of capacity they can get. So, a lead acid battery this size would weigh around 60, maybe even 70 pounds. This whole thing, believe it or not, is only 25 pounds. So you can lift it. It's not, it's not as light as maybe some laptop or something, or a small DSLM type of camera. But for the amount of, again, the power that you're getting, this thing is very small, very light. And I think from the ones that I've been kind of looking around, or the different solar generators I've had a chance to test out, when it comes to the kind of the amount of electricity or capacity you're gonna get per pound, I think this is the best one again on the market right now. This thing is rated at up to 2,000 charge cycles, meaning if you're using it normally, it's gonna last you around 10 years. And even after that, you can still use it. It won't have its full capacity. But still, when you consider for 10 years you can use this thing, then That's also where I think a lot of times, including myself, people will look at the price of lithium batteries, and that's when they get really scared because they're a lot more expensive than any other type of batteries already on the market. So a lot more expensive, but then again, when you break it down and you see over a period of 10 years, it comes out way cheaper than having to buy, let's say, a lead acid battery that's going to last you maybe 2 or 3 years maximum. And even then, it's the capacity really drops. So again, it's over the long period, this thing is going to be the best bang for your buck. Another thing you have inside this box is an power inverter. It's a 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter with 3000 watt surge limit. So what that basically means, if you don't know, is that an inverter basically takes DC power stored in your batteries, in this case the lithium batteries, and it converts that power to AC power. So you can use these beautiful ports that you have up here. If you have an appliance like an air conditioner or something, just when you're starting up that appliance, it might need to spike up and use, like I said, up to maybe 2000 or 2500 watts. Well, this thing will handle it for short periods of time. It will spike it and then it drops right away, and let's say it stays at a consistent whatever 1000 watts. And that's where this solar generator again stands out, because a lot of the other smaller or cheaper solar generators simply cannot handle that kind of wattage. Now, before I jump into some of the other cool features and things that are included in this, I'm sure you're wondering, how long is this thing actually going to power your light? So again, I've been using this real world examples, and when I was using the 120D light from Aputure and then another Aputure light, which is the Lightstorm panel lights, together I was pulling around 380 watts. This thing lasted for 3 hours. Now, another time I had 3 lights connected to this, and very powerful lights. One was from Aputure, which was a 300D, so it pulls in around 300 watts. And then I had the 120D from Aputure and the Lightstorm panel light. Altogether, it was more or less pulling around 700 watts. It would kind of spike up and down sometimes. But with that, I was able to power this for an hour and a half. So again, pretty amazing considering I was powering all these powerful lights. And all using this little box. Now, another time I really pushed this thing to its limit. I actually plugged in 5 lights at once, which was the 300D from Aputure, the 120D again from Aputure, but 2 of them, and then 2 of the Aputure Lightstorm panel lights. Altogether, it was pulling around 1000 watts, and this thing kept on going for 50 minutes until it shut down. And it wasn't even because the battery completely died, but because the inverter that's built in here just overheated. It was pulling that much, current all at once. So it overheated, and after like a couple seconds, I pressed the reset here button, and it was able to restart it again. And then it went on for another 10 minutes. So basically an hour I was able to power all of those lights. And like I said, I was pulling 1000 watts. So when you consider that this thing is at 1100 watt hours, you might be saying, well, wait a minute, shouldn't it be lasting more than an hour if you're pulling 1000 watts? Yeah, there is about like an 8% I think loss in basically whenever you have the inverter running. So whatever you're powering using the AC, because the inverter, in the process of converting DC to AC power, there's always going to be some loss. And I guess that's where, again, you're not going to be able to get that full 1100 watt hours unless you're pulling it using the DC plugs that are up here. So next, let me maybe kind of talk about really what it is that you have up here. So the first thing you're going to see here is the switch. So the switch basically turns on the generator. If you pull it this way, it turns on the DC plugs. So you see you have 2 up here, which were 12 volt DC plugs. Then you have the 12 volt car kind of cigarette light, sockets that you find in your cars. And then you find the Qualcomm 3 and then USB-C basically connections up here. So you can power your cell phones, laptops, anything that uses USB or USB Type-C plugs. You can use that up here. Now, if you turn this switch to the other side, then, I don't know if you can hear it, but there is a little bit of a fan. That's the fan for the inverter that's built in. And that fan will kick in. It's not very loud, but right now, microphone's like right here above my head, so you might be able to hear that slide of the sound of the fan. But basically, once you turn on the inverter, that powers all the AC plugs. So you have 6 plugs here, which are your standard 120 volt plugs. And then this big one up here, that's actually a 30 amp plug that's kind of more commonly used with, like, for example, RVs and things like that. And that's because this thing is actually a very popular, I think, battery for anybody who travels or has an RV, because you can plug in a 30 amp, RV plug, and you can power your whole RV. I've actually done this. I got this for my filmmaking, but I do have an RV and I travel a lot for pleasure and for work. And this thing is great. I'm able to, again, plug this into the 30 amp connection. And my little RV, again, doesn't draw that much, but basically depending on how many appliances you have on in your RV, obviously this battery will last you a different amount of times. But again, it's a very powerful little thing. Just the fact that it can power a whole RV is pretty incredible. Now, actually, if you are traveling with this, and let's say you want to charge this while you're driving, because you have an alternator in your car that produces electricity, well, you can actually get a 12-volt cigarette lighter charger for this. So you can plug it up here on the side, and that will actually charge this box for you while you're driving. Another way of charging it is plugging in here the AC adapter that comes with it. That will take a long time though, because again, this is 1100 watt hours, and the standard AC adapter will take around a little bit over 11 hours to basically charge this whole thing. So yeah, again, it's a little bit of a disappointment there. Again, when I first got this, I thought I could just plug it in and overnight charge it, to full capacity. But again, it's unless you're sleeping 11 hours, that's not the case. You can get a more powerful AC charger from this company. You get it from their website. And by the way, this thing right now is on the pre-sale orders up until August 5th, I believe, is the date. So if you guys want to get this and you want to get a big discount on this, then order it before August 5th. And if you order also using the link down below with my basically discount code, then you'll get on top of that another 20% off. I basically picked this up myself. I wasn't paid by this company to review this. I actually bought it with my own money. They gave me a discount, but I still had to pay for it. It is a pricey thing, but like I said, it's an investment because you can use this for so many things, and basically whatever you need power while you're on the go, and for filmmaking or for photography or whatever, almost any kind of work, this comes in really handy. Even if you have, let's say, power tools that you need to use, again, you can plug this in, because remember, this thing has a 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter built in, so you can power really powerful tools and things like that. You can charge it various ways using the different AC or car adapters, but you can also plug it in here using an EC8 plug, which makes it very easy and convenient. You can plug in the solar panels from this company. They make their various types of solar panels. I got two of their panels, which are 100 watt panels, and these are flexible panels. Very cool, very good quality solar panels. They output a lot of power. And like I said, they're rated at 100 watts. Doesn't mean that you're always going to get 100 watts, again, depending also on the weather and stuff like that. But you can plug in up to 500 watts of solar into here without any issues. Now, in my experience, using the solar panels to charge this, it can be a lot more efficient. Now, if you only get one 100 watt panel, solar panel for this, then it's going to be more or less the same as it takes with an AC plug. So around 11 hours to charge this, if you have like a sunny day or more or less sunny day, which means basically, because you're never going to get 11 hours of pure sun as you can in a day, so pretty much means it would take you like two sunny days to fully charge this. So I definitely think you want to get at least 2 solar panels. With 2 solar panels plugged in, you can actually charge this in around 6.5 hours. That's what I basically seen. Now, when you have, let's say, cloudy days, or maybe, let's say, days where you have some sun, but every so on you have clouds coming in, then that can drastically drop off. And it can vary anywhere from, again, depending how many clouds there are, it can go from 7 hours to, again, 10 hours to basically charge this thing. So, again, keep that in mind. You can, of course, connect up to 5 100 watt panels to this for a total of 500 watts. And that would really give you the sort of maximum. It would take about 3 hours then to charge it. In my experience, I actually did test it out with 3 different 100 watt solar panels. And then it took, on a sunny day, 4 hours, like around 4 hours and 40 minutes to charge this thing with those 3 panels. Now, just keep in mind that one panel was not from Energy. It was actually from a completely different company that I got. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I know that when I posted about this on Instagram and a few other places, people were asking me already, do you have to use it with their solar panels? Because they're, the Energy has really good quality solar panels, but they're a little bit more pricier than some of the competitors out there. And technically, you're not allowed to use it with that thing. If you do use it with other third-party solar panels, then your warranty basically goes out the window. Now, the reason for this is because I know previously Energy had problems with customers plugging in different solar panels and they didn't know how to plug it in correctly, and they would just, again, completely destroy everything that's inside, destroy the battery or the inverter or the charger or whatever. Which in here, this thing has a really good charge controller. It's an MPPT charge controller, which basically, if you don't know, just means it's like the most efficient charge controller on the market. So it's going to take and utilize that solar basically energy that comes in the best without wasting as much energy as some other charge controls. So that's a good thing. But again, you want to be safe. You want to be using their panels unless you really know what you're doing. So what I mean by that is, if you really want to, you can actually get an EC8 plug to an MC4, which is the standard sort of solar panel plugs adapter. If you guys want, I'll provide the link for that in the description, and you guys can check that out. But again, if you're gonna do that, you're losing warranty, and you're risking basically destroying this thing. So I would say if you never used anything like this, just spend the money and buy, which again are very good quality solar panels. Buy them from Energy, and then it's very simple. It's plug and play. You literally chain kind of one solar panel to another, so up to 5 panels you can plug them in, and then you can charge this thing really quickly. Like I said, in 3 hours. So I don't know, in the middle of the day, on a nice day, you get plug it in, and you don't have to worry about this. You have power throughout the whole day. Now, another question I've been getting is, can you charge this? Like, let's say if you wanted to use this during the day, but also want to recharge it so at night you still have some power left. Yes, you can do that. So while you're charging this using solar panels, you can be drawing power from this. So in real time, could be kind of using. And then it depends. If you're basically using less power than you're actually putting in through the panels, then you'd still be charging your battery, like, increasing your levels, while at the same time being able to use your equipment. If you're using more than you're bringing in through the solar panels, then you'd be draining the battery, but again, at a slower rate than without the solar panels. So either way, I think this thing is called, a solar generator, I think for a reason. And that's because it works the best if you have those solar panels. So I'd say minimum 2, but if you can, buy 3, 4, or even 5. Now let me kind of get back talking about some of the things that you'll find up here. So these two here, the red and the black, are the positive and negative for expansion batteries. So you can actually plug into plug in extra batteries, like lead acid batteries. You get this and you really like it, but you find that, I still want to have even more power, but I like the inverter in here. I like the that nice MPPT charge controller. I like all these cool things in here. I just want to have more capacity. Well, instead of buying another box like that, you can just buy extra batteries. Now another thing you'll find here on the right side is these little buttons, which are actually for the breakers. So meaning, if you actually let's say plug in too much stuff in here and you, let's say, overheat the inverter or whatever it is, you pull too much power than you're supposed to, well, it's gonna basically, instead of completely destroying everything, it is actually protected inside there, and you're just setting off one of these breakers, so you can actually press the button, reset them, and then you can keep on using it. There's a handle up here, nice and sturdy handle, so you can carry this. Again, 25 pounds, so it's not that heavy. Now they do have these little here latches for the strap, which I have up here. But for example, when I connect it up here and I try to carry this whole thing with the strap, a lot of times as I'm walking, I find that this thing just ends up kind of extending to its maximum length, and then it will stop, and then I can use it like this. It just simply means that it's like really hanging low on my shoulder. So that's the only thing that's kind of maybe annoying about the strap, but otherwise it works. To be honest though, most of the time I just carry it with this handle because I don't need to walk around with this. I put it somewhere, plug my lights, my camera gear, and my battery's charging, and that's it. I don't have to worry about it. So in conclusion, is this thing worth it? Because like I said, it's not the cheapest accessory to buy, but I think it's also, when you consider the kind of freedom that this thing gives you, like seriously, whether you're doing photography or any kind of work, even if you're working with your laptop, you can power those laptops for hours and hours. I mean, you can power a whole fridge off of this. Like I said, I've been able to power my whole travel trailer, my RV, like everything with this thing, and it just goes on for hours. So that's the really cool thing about this thing, is it gives you power where you need it. That's why I think, because of that, I myself was always on the fence, kind of, oh man, should I go with this? Should I spend this much money on what seemed like it's just a battery? But no, it's not a battery. Like I said, it says really efficient charge controller for the solar and other ways that you can charge, the nice power inverter, all those things that you have, all these plugs, everything's ready for you. So it's a really handy thing to have with you. So whether you want to recharge your batteries or power your lights or run your laptops, you can do video editing while you're out in the middle of nowhere, maybe in some beautiful location somewhere in the woods or out in the desert or whatever it is that your work takes you. Again, I can highly recommend this. And like I said, I have not been paid by anybody to say this. I spend my own money on this box. I'm using it myself on my own productions, and it is top notch. It really, there's nothing I can say bad about it, other than maybe that little strap that's it's a little annoying. Like I said, I've been using it on different locations, and I took it out to the beach a few times when I was doing stuff there. I was out in the forest, and I even had water that fell on this. Not that this is waterproof, but I actually had water that fell up here on this, and it was completely covered, and nothing ever happened to it. It still keeps on working the same as it did on the first day I got it. So I'm excited. Like I said, it's supposed to last for up to 10 years with the charge cycles, and even after that, it's just with decreased efficiency, I can still be able to use it. But then by that point, I can expand the battery. So I think it's a worthwhile investment for the future for anybody. Anyways, take a look at this thing, guys. And also for those of you who maybe used this already, or maybe used some other similar solar generators, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Anyways, my name is Tom, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Please see the links in description below.